It all started at a small art gallery. I had been staring at a painting for what felt like hours, drawn to its colors, the brush strokes that seemed both wild and deliberate. Just when I was about to move on, someone stood beside me. His presence was magnetic, almost unsettling in how instantly I felt drawn to him. "Interesting piece, isn't it?" he asked, his voice deep yet gentle. I turned, finding myself face to face with him, Taehyung. His eyes were dark and intense, studying me with the same focus I'd given the painting. His gaze made me feel seen in a way no one else ever had. "Yeah," I managed to reply, my heart pounding. "It feels lonely, but alive, somehow," he smiled, a slow, soft curve of his lips. "Beautiful interpretation," he said, and for the first time in a long time, I felt my walls crumble. That night, we talked until the gallery closed, our voices filling the empty halls. And in the weeks that followed, Taehyung and I became inseparable. His gentle humor, his passion for life, his kindness, it all made me fall faster than I ever thought possible. Meeting Jungkook was like discovering color in a black and white world. I'd always been the kind of person who found joy in little things, but he amplified that joy tenfold. Jungkook was vibrant and full of life, yet there was a vulnerability in him, something fragile and beautiful. I still remember the day he opened up to me about his insecurities, his fear of not being enough. It was in those quiet moments, his face shadowed by doubt, that I realized just how deeply I loved him. I promised myself that I would protect him, cherish him, and always remind him of his worth. As the months passed, our relationship grew stronger. We laughed, we shared secrets, and we began to dream of a future together, a life that felt so right, so undeniably ours. I knew, without a doubt, that Jungkook was my soulmate. I used to be the kind of person everyone wanted to look at. The way people's eyes followed me, the compliments, the attention, it was all part of my life. But in an instant, that life shattered. The accident was a blur of lights, sounds, and pain. I woke up, lay in a hospital bed, my body aching, my face covered in gauze and bruises, bandages itching at my skin. Every movement sent pain shooting through me, but one memory was painfully clear, the doctors' faces as they told me the scars would be permanent. My once bright life fell dark, bleak. And the worst pain of all? Taehyung wasn't here. The doctors told me he left me a message, a short, impersonal note about needing time to process everything. I couldn't blame him. I barely recognized myself, either. But as the days passed, and his silence continued, doubts began to fill me. Could he really leave me? My heart clenched. We were supposed to get married, but now I was alone, staring at the ceiling, wondering if he'd ever see me the same way again. Did I still deserve him like this? When the bandages were removed, I barely recognized the face staring back at me. My reflection felt like a cruel reminder of everything I'd lost. The thought of Taehyung seeing me like this made me want to crawl into myself and disappear. I felt broken. Days turned into weeks, and Taehyung was nowhere to be seen. The fear that he left because of my new face haunted me, sinking me deeper into despair. My mom visited every day, even though I could see the worry and sadness in her eyes every time she looked at me. "Jungkook," she whispered, sitting by my bedside, brushing my hair out of my face and holding my hand. "You're still my son. Nothing about you has changed in my heart. You know Taehyung loves you, right?" I tried to smile, but the scars pulled my face awkwardly. Thank you, Mom, but I don't think Taehyung feels the same. I closed my eyes, swallowing the lump in my throat. But what if he doesn't anymore? I'm not. I'm not who I was. Her eyes filled with sympathy. She sighed, squeezing my hand tighter. People need time, sweetheart. This is hard for both of you. Give him a chance. Love isn't about appearances. If Taehyung truly loves you, he'll see beyond all this. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that Taehyung would come back, that he'd see beyond what I'd become. But deep down, a part of me was terrified. What if this was the end? The news of Jungkook's accident had shaken me to the core. The guilt of not visiting him right away gnawed at me, but the truth was, I was terrified. Seeing him hurt and scarred made me question things I never thought I would, about my own strength, about our future. I hated the doubt. I hated myself for feeling it. I thought I could handle it, but something inside me froze. I'd always loved him for more than his looks. I knew that. Yet facing the reality, the scars, the bandages, it felt different. And that feeling made me ashamed. Days passed, and I knew I was avoiding him. My family noticed my distance. My mother, ever perceptive, finally sat me down one evening. Jungkook, wondering why I hadn't visited, why I seemed distant. Taehyung, what are you so afraid of? She asked, her gaze piercing. I looked down, ashamed. I don't know if I can handle this. He needs time to heal, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. She took my hand, squeezing it gently. Then you need to ask yourself what you truly feel for Jungkook. Because love doesn't run when things get hard. My mother's gaze was piercing. Or maybe you're the one who needs time. I looked down, ashamed. I don't know if I can handle this. Her words hit me like a slap, and I knew she was right. I couldn't deny the fear that clung to me, the shame of questioning my own heart. I realized then that my hesitation wasn't because of Jungkook, it was because of my own fear. And I couldn't let that fear control me. I had to be there for him. Could I really be so shallow? After weeks of silence, I gathered the courage to visit Jungkook. I walked into his hospital room, my heart pounding. He was sitting by the window, lost in thought. The scars marked his face, but his eyes still held that same warmth, the same light that had drawn me to him all those years ago. Taehyung, he said, his voice hoarse, eyes widening as he saw me. I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of my guilt. I'm sorry, Jungkook. I didn't know what to say. He looked down, hurt flickering across his face. I thought you left me because of this, he murmured, gesturing to his face. No, it's not that, I stammered, feeling a lump in my throat. It's just, I needed time. But I realized something, Jungkook. I'm not proud of how I handled it. I should have been here. There was silence, heavy and painful. Finally, Jungkook spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. Do you still love me? My heart clenched at the vulnerability in his eyes. Without thinking, I reached out, cupping his scarred cheek, feeling the roughness beneath my fingers. More than anything, I whispered, my own tears threatening to fall. I love you, Jungkook. I'm sorry I ever made you doubt that. Over time, we faced the harsh looks from others, the whispers, the pitying glances. But with every day, every shared laugh, every moment, I realized that Jungkook was more beautiful than ever. His strength, his resilience, his spirit, they made me fall in love with him all over again. Because in the end, love wasn't about beauty. It was about seeing each other's souls, scars and all, and choosing to stay.